Hello and welcome to our third winter forecast for the winter of 2022 to 2023. We're taking a look here at the precipitation forecast. First things first, we're going to go over the temperature forecast after this, and then the snowfall anomalies forecast, and then finally the very exciting overall forecast to close things out. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment down below with your location. I'll be trying to respond to as many of those as possible with a custom forecast, so be sure to like the video. Leave that comment down below and I'll be getting back to you guys. Let's just dive right into it. We have a below normal precipitation expected here for the southern United States overall. The more westerly you go, the more regions we're seeing involved here. So this is a much thicker region than over here where we have less states involved. Well, more states, but less actual area. We see that this is an area where in a La Nina, we don't really have this southern storm track coming through. So there's not going to be a ton of storms coming through like that. And that's going to lead towards more dry conditions overall. Instead, we're going to have storms heading in through the north like this, which obviously is going to not involve these areas. They're going to go right around this area. Typical in a La Nina, we have a pretty strong La Nina right now, so we expect La Nina conditions. Now, we do have multiple a little bit further below normal areas here, as you can see, for the Southwest, California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and even a little bit of a county there in Texas as well, where we expect moderately below average precipitation for these regions. And even as you head into the southeast there, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina there, and even Florida, we expect below normal precipitation for all of these areas. And we're a little bit more confident in these darker areas than we are in the lighter areas. There, we don't have a third layer, so let's just get into the above average precipitation region. And as you can see, just like I mentioned before, this is where the storm track is going to come through the north, causing a lot of precipitation for these areas compared to normal, whereas these areas are going to be left high and dry, where the storms go right around this region. I live in the dry region, so I'm not being biased here. I definitely want precipitation. We're not going to be seeing quite as much, in my opinion. Now, what might happen here is we might see some storms dip down and come up off the coast like this. This would be called a Miller B. Let me draw this right here. Miller B nor'easter. A Miller A nor'easter would be if we had this southern track coming in just like we see in El Niños, and it comes all the way up the coast, just like that. This would be a Miller A nor'easter, just like that, when it comes all the way up the coast. These are the types of snowstorms that you see like 2010. We had a few of them in years past where you see the entire mid-Atlantic and southeast coast get some snowfall, sometimes even far into the deep south states like this, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina getting involved. These are those types of snowstorms. Usually they happen in El Niños. This year we have a La Nina. They're going to be a little bit more scarce, and we're going to see more of these that impact just this northern half of the East Coast, in my opinion. Now, we do have some darker green regions to go over as well, where we're moderately confident in that above average precipitation. One of these being up here for the Northwest for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming there, where we are moderately confident in that above average precipitation. And we have one more of these areas as well for the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and then the Northeast. More particularly the interior northeastern United States, where we're first off going to have some storms moving through just like this. Then they're going to move through, get a little bit weaker, and possibly strengthen here in the eastern United States, like I mentioned. And this could cause some above average precipitation for this region here and this region here as well in particular, as these storms intensify with this water here just offshore of New England and the mid-Atlantic. Here we see a lot of times these storms intensify here, and obviously they're going to be quite intense coming off the Pacific as well. So these two areas in particular are going to get the stronger sides of these storms, and that's why we're more confident in the above average precipitation in these regions. Now let's get into the exciting temperature forecast, and as you can tell, we haven't changed anything on the temperature forecast. Yeah, surprise. We have not changed the temperature forecast whatsoever. We did change actually a lot on that precipitation forecast. You can go ahead and compare, but we did change some stuff there. We altered some locations. We changed the tilts on some things. We polished it, really, is what I would say. Now, this temperature forecast, I didn't change a thing. I'm just going to warn you, but we're going to go over it anyway. We have below normal temperatures expected here in the north central United States, and also all of our eastern United States regions here. This is just our lightest shade. Let's get into that moderate shade because there's a huge region in this as well where we're going to see massive troughs heading into the eastern United States, potentially bringing some colder than normal conditions here, with it above average snowfall, but we'll get into that in a minute. Spoiler alert there. Let's take a look at the third layer here, because we do have that third layer here for the below average temperatures, and this is going to be where Arctic blasts and polar vortexes will certainly be possible as we see strongly negative AO conditions potentially take place in here, which would, in that case, certainly bring down the polar vortex and a lot of snowfall potentially at times as well. Clippers are going to be very plentiful in this type of a scenario. I expect many frequent clippers to roll through these regions, bringing your typical 3 to 6 inches of snowfall over and over and over again, adding up to obviously a lot of snowfall over the entire season. That's typically how these regions see a lot of their snowfall anyway, so it's not really a huge surprise there whatsoever. This is fairly typical for these regions in most years. We do expect above normal temperatures out west here, especially the southwest, but also up and down the west coast all the way up to Washington and Oregon. We do have some above average temperatures there going on up there in those regions. We also have some moderately above average temperatures here expected for California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico there in those darker orange regions. This is where we are more confident in those above average temperatures. There's going to be less cloudiness in these regions, and there's going to be more sun, more sunny days, which is going to lead towards more above average temperatures. Also, there should be ridges frequently set up in the western United States, and that'll also aid in giving these regions above average temperatures. But certainly the less storminess is going to just tilt this in the direction of above normal temperatures overall. We see that fairly frequently, and I do expect that to be the case this upcoming winter. Now, for the snowfall anomaly chance, the snowfall chance forecast here, the reason it's called snowfall chance is because it would be pretty hard to say, oh, I'm just going to throw a very random place out there. Like, it's going to be very hard for me to say Cleveland, Ohio is going to see above average snowfall, or Cleveland, Ohio is going to see below average snowfall, because they could have one massive snowstorm on February 14th that completely throws them above their average snowfall. And I can't forecast that this far out, obviously. Or they could just not have that massive one, and that could lead them to have below average snowfall. But maybe Pittsburgh has above average snowfall. There's a lot of things happening that can't be forecasted. But what I can tell you is who has the best chance to see above average snowfall or below average snowfall, and that's what we're going to try to do here today. Below normal snowfall chances in the southern United States here, from the southwest through the south central into the southeastern United States. You might be wondering, hey, why is Los Angeles and the Florida Keys in this if they don't ever see snowfall anyway? Well, I believe in chances, that anything is possible, right? Florida has seen snowfall before. It might be once every 100 years. Los Angeles might see snowfall once every 200 years. I don't know what the actual number is, but anything is possible. So there is a chance. It just so happens that this year they're going to have a below average chance. So it might be one in every 210 years this year when conditions are like this. I don't know the exact numbers, but below normal snowfall chance compared to whatever that chance is. In the north here, first off, in the lighter blue, we expect above normal snowfall chance, but especially there in those two darker blue regions, we expect above normal snowfall chance for the northwest and the northeast, as well as your Ohio Valley and upper Midwest. The reason being is those above average precipitation amounts alongside the far below normal temperatures that we expect in the eastern United States. Based on my precipitation and temperature forecast, it should be fairly obvious that this map checks out for sure. Now, let's get right into the exciting overall forecast, my absolute favorite one to make here. Starting in the northwest, we expect stormy conditions to prevail up there. We see typical snow there for the Rocky Mountains. They're going to get snow whether they're far above normal, temperatures and below normal precipitation. They'd still see snowfall. It's the Rocky Mountains. They're going to see their typical snowfall regardless. Warm and dry for the southwest, no surprise there. Even warmer there as you work your way further southwest towards California, Nevada, Arizona. It's been this way for about 10 plus years. Probably going to keep happening this year as well. Cold and snowy there just to the east of the Rocky Mountains. It's going to be cold and snowy either way, so it's pretty obvious. Polar vortex going to be possible up there in that purple region where, again, we expect far below normal temperatures to prevail. Arctic blasts there in the darker blue are going to be possible as well. Worst of winter there over our Great Lakes regions, that white region, where absolutely the lakes are going to be just absolutely throwing so much snowfall at those coastal regions. It's going to be insane. Tons of snow there for that red region, and huge snowstorms along the coast are going to be possible with those Miller B nor'easters I was mentioning earlier, and a Miller A or 2 cannot be ruled out. For instance, December 2010, you might remember that one if you're along the East Coast. You probably do. I certainly do here in Southeast Virginia. What a monster snowstorm that was. It happened in a La Nina. Remember I just said Miller A's hardly happen in La Ninas? Well, that was probably the only one we had that winter, and that one happened to be alongside very, very cold air, and it just ended up being an East Coast blizzard. So, again, anything is possible. So we might see a Miller A or 2, and it can't be really ruled out. Winter battle zone there in the pink, that's where ice, snow, rain, all of it's going to be possible. It's going to be a battle zone between the temperatures and the precipitation types. Probably a lot of messy storms as well, and a lot of plain rain storms also. Somewhat dry in the southeast and the Gulf states, but there will still be storms moving along that region from time to time. It's just not going to have that frequent storm train that comes with a southern jet in an El Nino because, again, we have a La Nina. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like it if you did. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts and your location again, because I'll try to give you guys some custom forecasts. And also be sure to subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.